今日もいい匂いだ。いただきます。
いただきます。どう？美味しい？
You know, Goblin Slayer works hard enough, and the only thing he asks for is a good hearty meal. I think, hear me out, it's a nice chunky potato leek soup.
Thank you to Ridge.com for sponsoring today's video. Hello again, little brother. Big brother, what are you doing here? I've come to teach you a final lesson. There's nothing more I can learn from you. I have finally surpassed you. Brother, there's no way you could have done this. You can't gain strength without losing speed. But now I can hold 12 cards with cash. Ha! You're pathetic. Take this. That'll teach him. I have surpassed you, brother. That no longer works. Nani? I'm made of titanium with an RFID blocker. Impossible! No! Gain strength, speed, and 10% off with ridge.com/chefpk. Potato leek soup. You're gonna need quite a bit of leek for this. The flavor from the leeks is going to be so crucial for this recipe. Go ahead and remove the bottom of your leeks off, and then for the top half of your leeks, we are going to be using this to fortify some vegetable stock. Go ahead and trim the leek tops just a little bit and then split them in half, revealing the interior of the leeks, because this is where all the dirt hides. If you ever work with leeks, make sure you do split them open and start cleaning them. I like to make sure that I do rinse them with a lot of water and then let them soak in that same water so that way they can get as clean as possible. Water for about 15-20 minutes until all of that dirt starts to sink to the bottom. Now for the bottom part of your leeks, go ahead again and split these in half, revealing the center to see if there's them super thin. The reason why we are slicing them thin is because we're going to be soaking this in water to get them clean, but we're also going to be cooking these in a very interesting way. So go ahead and take all of your now beautifully sliced leeks, fill this up with very cold water. It doesn't have to be ice water or anything, just make sure it's very cold out of the tap, and let those soak while we work on our potatoes. Now I am using baby potatoes for this, but feel free to just use any kind of really nice russet or Yukon or Idaho potato, but just use any kind of potato really. I like using the baby potatoes because we are going to again do something a little bit different with these later. So go ahead and cut these all in half so that way we can get them soaked with a little bit of water and give them a little bit of a rinse. You can let this hang out in the water for about 10 or 15 minutes while we work on the leeks. In a big stock pot over a medium heat, add in about 100 grams of unsalted butter. You want to start melting down this butter over that medium heat and then start dropping in all of your beautifully shredded leeks. Don't worry too much about draining all of the water off of the leeks, just pull it out by hand, it's going to be fine. Start sauteing this up over that medium heat, and this is going to slowly start breaking the leeks down until they become slightly soft. Once the leeks are nice and soft, season this with a little bit of salt, making sure that you do get salt all over the stovetop because you do need to season the stovetop. Hit this with just a few cracks of black pepper. This is totally up to you, but I really like the black pepper in this. And continue to cook this over that medium heat until you see the leeks start to color. Once you have a little bit of color, hit this with a splash of sake, white wine, or vegetable stock. After adding in your liquid, give this a quick mix, just making sure that all that liquid has evaporated, and you're going to be left with these beautiful creamy leeks. Now remove all of the leek from your pot, setting them aside for later. Now do not get rid of this pot. This pot, add in all of those leek tops. You want to use all the fond from the bottom of this pot because that's just a bunch of extra flavor in addition to a few green onions I had laying around. Now grab about 1 liter worth of your favorite vegetable stock. I'm using some really nice organic stuff that I found that had a bunch of carrots and onions in it, so I just went with it. This is basically becoming a fortified stock, which is essentially making a stock with stock. Now throw a lid on it and let it cook over a medium heat for only about 30 minutes. Sorry about the steam. Now that I've given you your onion bath, go ahead and remove all of your leeks and onions from your stock, placing them into a bowl and just discarding them because they've served their purpose at this point. Make sure you drain out any additional liquid from that bowl. Now we're going to add in about 2/3 of the potatoes that we had split in half directly into our stock. You're also going to take about 2/3 of those leeks that we had cooked and place that into your stock as well. The reason why we're splitting them up is because we're actually going to be using some of the leeks and the potatoes as garnish later. Go ahead and bring this to a medium heat and let this simmer until those potatoes are completely cooked. Intermittently do check on your stock and your potatoes to just make sure that the liquid level is high enough. If you see that the liquid is coming under the potatoes, go ahead and add in a little bit of water. Continue to cook this until those potatoes get super soft. You should be able to break these up with your hand. That's how soft they should be. Once the potatoes are nice and soft, grab your immersion blender and start blending this thing. Remember, the longer you blend this, the smoother the soup will be. You can also use a stand-up blender if you would like, but just use whatever you have. Now you're looking for this really creamy, beautiful, thick consistency on the soup. After giving it a taste, hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper as needed. Mine needed quite a bit, so I seasoned it just a little bit more each time I tried it. After you're done seasoning it, just let it hang out over a low heat. I know you're seeing more potatoes in this, but it's fine. Just take some of the potatoes that you had, the 2/3 that I told you to save earlier, season them with a little bit of oil and salt, place them onto a sheet tray, and we're gonna roast these at 425 degrees for about 20 minutes until they are nice and crisp on the outside and really tender on the inside. This is going to be part of the garnish for your soup. Now grab yourself a couple of really nice medium-sized bowls, and I do have to serve Abigail and Rachel before I plate myself a bowl. So after filling these to about 2/3/3/4 of the way up, garnish them with a couple of your roasted potatoes. You see why we saved some of them now? As well as some of your beautifully buttered melted leeks right on top of those potatoes. Then we're gonna hit this with a little bit of sour cream, creme fraiche, or even just a little bit of cheese if you would like. Attempt to make this as pretty as possible, and then grab yourself a couple of lemon wedges and place that over on top of your garnish, which is probably a mistake because it starts to sink into the soup. Hit this with a little bit of cracked black pepper and make sure you serve the ladies. Now I do make myself a bowl the same exact way by putting in the soup first, a little bit of my sour cream, a couple of potatoes, a little bit of melted leeks, and actually slice the lemon super thin, and there's our beautiful potato leek soup from Goblin Slayer. They said it was good. I'll take that. Yum, 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 yum. There it is, guys. Leek and potato soup from Goblin Slayer. Now, granted, there is something on the camera. Potato on the camera. How did that even happen? I'm gonna get the big spoon. That's a soup spoon. Now, leek and potato soup is from quite a few things. It's fairly common, but I like doing it this way because you can have it be a vegan option if you really want to, without the butter, without the sour cream, but I'd actually put like more cheese and stuff in this. It'd probably be really good that way. One of my favorite things to do as well is throw some hot sauce in this, but we're just gonna try it just as it is. Look at that, nice and creamy. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, you guys weren't lying.
Are you calling us liars?
Mm-hmm. It has a little bit of a bite from the actual garnish of the leeks on top of there, so that's really nice. That's why you don't want to blend it all up together right away. You have the option of putting them on top. This is pretty freaking good. I might put some cheddar in it and call it a day. Let me know what your favorite kind of soup is, and right now for it being fall, this is so easy to make. Go ahead and try to do this and just gorge and watch fall movies like Hocus Pocus. My name is Chef PK. Get subscribed, and remember, keep playing with your food. All right, let's go watch Goblin Slayer, guys. We have to watch episode 1
No, okay.
of Goblin Slayer.
Let's do it!
There's a really naughty scene in it.
No, can I have more soup?